where a Quincy jury awarded $411 million to a local veteran paralyzed in a crash. You may remember this 45-car pileup on I-10 near Tallahassee in July of 2018. Dwayne Washington tried to drive his motorcycle onto the median to avoid the pileup. Washington then crashed into a Top Auto commercial truck that had stopped in the emergency lane without caution lights on. Washington broke both the sides of his pelvis, sustained several other injuries, and can now only walk with a specialized arm crutch. Now, civil rights attorney Ben Crump was part of the team to get that unprecedented verdict. He joins us now. Good morning. Thanks so much for waking up with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now let's jump right into this. First, how is Mr. Washington doing now, 2 years after that crash changed his life?
Well, even though he may never physically be comfortable, this verdict allows him to get the medical attention and help he desperately needs, and allows for financial security for his 3 sons that he was raising as the custodial parent.
Impacting all of our lives, including this trial. It was the first virtual jury trial in the area. So explain to us how that process worked.
Yes, ma'am. This was a historic, significant this ruling for justice. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it required a historic virtual trial, but that did not stop the jury from hearing and gathering all the evidence and returning this historic $411 million verdict for this man who sacrificed so much as a Army officer, as also he dedicated so much of his time to service for the Gaston County community. And so even though it was virtual, people still understood and felt what he had endured. And so this may be the wave of the future. And I was very proud with my co-counsels, Bob Cox and Tally Calico and Jen Seymour, to work with Judge Frank on this very interesting dynamic where you just see faces on a computer screen, but you still are able to relate to them.
Here, we also want to touch on one of your bigger cases that you're working on, a story that the world is watching, the death of Breonna Taylor. Those audio recordings were released yesterday, so we want to know, how is her family doing?
Well, her family is still committed to getting justice for Breonna. They feel that this is a significant development because it gets them one step closer to justice based on the transparency. When you listen to those grand jury proceedings, you see that the grand jurors themselves were asking questions, but they were not being answered by Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron's office. And there's so much conflicting evidence. You say, where was the evidence presented on Breonna Taylor's behalf? Or did they unilaterally make a decision that we're just going to try to exonerate these police officers? Look at the video, listen to the recordings for yourself, and you will see that Breonna Taylor did not have a voice inside that grand jury proceeding.
Well, thank you so much for that insight on both of those cases, and thank you for waking up with us bright and early this morning, Ben.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.